no faces, yet the whole world knows their name. This is not just a group, it's a digital uprising. This is Anonymous.
In the silent heart of the digital world, where machines never sleep, a new force was awakening, unseen, unheard, but inevitable.
Began with lines of code, nothing more than symbols and signals. But in the right hands, code becomes power. Shape a network, unlock a vault, light up a city, or plunge it into darkness.
One symbol would rise above the noise, a mask, not of identity, but of anonymity. It speaks without a mouth. It stands without a face. And under its shadow,
in the unfiltered corners of the internet, ideas spread like wildfire, and a movement began to take shape.
What started as chaos soon became unity. Anonymous was no longer a joke. It was a voice.
the digital spilled into the physical. A faceless idea stepped into the streets.
Project Chinology, where Anonymous first learned its strength. A battle of information versus control.
In the realm of cyberspace, they struck with precision. Invisible to most, unstoppable to many. Systems fell, firewalls folded, yet not a trace of who or what they were. The world watched and wondered.
Skepticism turned into fascination. The media could no longer ignore the faceless collective. A quiet network of minds, sparking connections across continents, reshaping economies, forging climate accords, and drafting digital futures.
Fighting the digital realm, they forged new weapons, tools crafted from pure information.
Soon, their operations spread across continents, each action louder than the last.
Payback. A campaign born from defiance. A digital uprising against censorship. At the push of a single key, packets surge millions per second, rolling like a storm tide.
They struck at organizations that sought to silence the internet's freedom. Knowledge must be free.
And with each victory, their numbers grew. Individuals united by purpose, not identity.
Governments began to take notice. A decentralized movement had become a global concern.
When financial giants blocked donations to WikiLeaks, Anonymous answered in the only way they knew. To them, transparency was sacred, and any threat against it demanded retaliation. In the eyes of the world, Anonymous had become both a warning and a mystery. Then, revolution sparked across the Middle East. Anonymous saw injustice and acted.
They tore down the digital barriers that silenced a nation.
They shielded protesters by giving them a voice no regime could silence.
Egypt fell into darkness. Anonymous restored the lines of communication. They revealed the watching eyes of a regime hiding in the shadows.
But power rarely yields quietly. The hunt for the faceless began.
Authorities captured those they could find, but Anonymous was never one.
Every member exposed, 2 more rose in their place. They thought one arrest would end it. Instead, it began the multiplication.
Then came the Sony breach, one of their loudest and most controversial acts.
Millions felt the impact. For better or worse, the world could no longer ignore them.
They were heroes. To others, criminals. To all, they were unforgettable.
In the shadows beside Anonymous, a new faction emerged. Mischievous, chaotic, and wildly unpredictable. They wore no faces, only laughter, echoes that slipped through firewalls and danced across the net.
Sometimes allies, sometimes rivals, but always driven by a shared defiance.
The Stratfor breach exposed secrets meant to stay buried, revealing the reach of the faceless.
The world's authorities intensified their pursuit, determined to unmask the unmaskable.
When anger filled the streets of New York, Anonymous amplified the voice of the people.
They bridged the digital and the physical, turning raw footage into encrypted lifelines, sending the voice of the streets through fiber and air. From one glowing node to the next, the signal leapt oceans, borders, firewalls. A new kind of resistance was born.
When Mega Upload fell, Anonymous launched a wave of retaliation felt across the internet.
Even the most guarded institutions were not beyond reach. The world had entered a new era.
At last, the world understood. Conflict had moved beyond borders and battlegrounds. Wars were now fought with code, with power grids and satellites, with the invisible weapons of a new age.
In Mexico, they confronted fear itself, challenging the cartel's power with information. Networks built on blood and silence.
Ignis communication for encryption system. As surveillance grew,
Anonymous defended a simple ideal, the right to privacy. When injustice struck American streets, Anonymous amplified the truth.
They tore away the digital veil that protected corruption.
They confronted hate directly, stripping anonymity from those who abused it.
the most isolated regimes felt their presence. They slipped past firewalls, rewrote the code, and hijacked the narrative. Propaganda screens became windows of static.
In moments of tragedy, they stood for expression. Unfiltered, unafraid. Tonight, the signal ignites. Connections blaze across the globe, shattering silence, amplifying every voice that dares to speak.
The mask became more than a symbol. It became a movement.
Centralized, leaderless, limitless. Anonymous evolved beyond any one identity.
What began as rebellion became a global force reshaping the digital age.
The battlefield of the future no longer lies on land, sea, or sky, but in the boundless realm of information. Here, warriors wear hoodies instead of armor, and their weapons are lines of code.
As surveillance grew into a global machine, Anonymous stood as a lone reminder that privacy is worth defending.
A new generation rose, armed not with weapons, but with knowledge, conviction, and the will to challenge power. Together, they lit the dark and turned connection into courage.
The mask never belonged to one person. It became a banner, carried by all who dared to speak against oppression.
In the end, they remain what they have always been. An idea. And ideas cannot be silenced.